Hello, authors. I hope you're all keeping well in whatever part of the world you reside and listen to the podcast in. Today's interview is with Dana De Silva on writing erotica. We chat about her brave, powerful, and raw memoir, The Shift, coping with writing erotic and intense love affairs in the book, her tips for authors looking to write erotic scenes, and much more. So in my author adventure this week, welcome to March. It's been a long weekend here in Perth and yeah, it was nice. Didn't do anything too strenuous apart from hang out with family and catch up with friends. And I binged Invisible Boys on Stan. For those of you who don't know, Invisible Boys is a new television series on Stan. I think it went to number 6, which is pretty cool. The series is based on the book by Holden Shepherd, who is a Western Australian boy, and he's actually been on the podcast when I first started the podcast. He lives close by to us as well. He's part of the Western Australian writing community. The book Invisible Boys is a young adult book, and it's written male perspectives, 17 years old. And it's about homosexuality, self-worth, identity, that kind of thing. The book was great. I really enjoyed it. It's won loads of awards and been turned into a television series. Huge congrats to you, Holden. It's being well received. There's some great Australian television out there and films, and it's so good to watch. So I highly recommend that series and book. If you're interested in listening to Holden, you can. Back in 2022, believe it or not, multiple award-winning young adult author Holden Shepherd chatted on the Hybrid Author podcast about social media for authors, so you can check that out. The other thing, now I've got Stan back because usually I'm always a Netflix girl. Usually have Disney for the children and mix around the other streaming services, but Stan's got some great stuff on there at the moment. I was watching The Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale that they made into a series, and I hadn't finished that, so there's about another 2 seasons that I've now gone on to binge. So Writer's Digest, there was an article that I found really interesting that I wanted to just share, and it was called Self-Care for Writers, Balancing Productivity with Mental Well-Being. Author Diana Martinez Bay discusses self-care for writers, specifically on balancing productivity with mental well-being. The article features 10 practical self-care tips for writers to stay refreshed, inspired, and ready to tackle our next masterpiece. So Deanna says, writing can be a gratifying and creative process, but also demanding. Deadlines, creative blocks, hours upon hours of alone time, and long hours hunched over a keyboard can take a toll on mental and physical well-being. To maintain productivity without burnout, writers need a balance of work and rest. Here are 10 practical self-care tips to help writers stay refreshed, inspired, and ready to tackle their next masterpiece. So number 1 is establishing a writing routine. Consistency is key for productivity, but it's also essential for creating structure in your day. A defined writing schedule ensures you're making progress while carving out time for rest. Whether you're a morning thinker or a night owl, find a time that suits your creative flow and stick to it. And she has a tip there: pair your writing session with a pre-writing ritual like brewing a cup of tea or lighting a favourite candle to signify your brain that it's time to focus. And I know other authors, Joanna Penn from the Creative Penn podcast, she in the past goes to a cafe and writes, and she puts on headphones and she listens to rain music. And yeah, there's lots of little rituals that some writers do to get themselves preparing, right, I'm ready for work now type of thing. And not just writers, there'll be a routine you use in your day job if you've got one, putting on your computer, getting yourself a coffee, going to the toilet, these types of things. It all prepares you to get in the right mindset. 2, take regular breaks. Sitting at your desk for hours can lead to mental fatigue and physical strain. To recharge your energy, incorporate short breaks into your writing routine. Use techniques like the Pomodoro method, 25 minutes of work followed by a 5-minute break, or simply get up to stretch every hour. The Pomodoro method is something I learned about this year. Exactly that. You just work in 25 minutes blocks, and in 5 minutes, you take a break. Now, I haven't mastered this effectively yet. I keep forgetting. It sounds good to me. Her tip is a quick step outside for fresh air can spark new ideas and improve your mood. If you feel good about breaking flow and just having 5 minutes, then Pomodoro technique is for you. Number 3 is create a comfortable workspace. Your writing environment can impact your productivity and well-being. Set up a space that feels inspiring and support good posture. Invest in an ergonomic chair. Ensure your desk is clutter-free and add personal touches like plants, family photos, or artwork to make it a place you enjoy spending time. What do they say? Build it and they will come. Good lighting is crucial. Natural light is ideal. Desk lamp can work wonders on overcast days. Pro tip, blue light glasses are a helpful tool for writers. They reduce eye strain and fatigue caused by prolonged screen time, allowing for greater focus and comfort during writing sessions. Bonus tip, a lumbar support pillow can be incredibly helpful. It provides back support and promotes proper posture during long hours of sitting, reducing discomfort and preventing strain. Prioritize rest and sleep. Something I should do, I suppose. Burning the midnight oil might seem like the mark of a dedicated writer, but it's not sustainable. Rest is essential for creativity and productivity. Make sleep a priority by maintaining a regular bedtime and creating a nighttime routine to wind down. Keep a notebook by your bed to jot down late night ideas so you don't lose them or lose sleep over them. And I think this, personally, if I feel okay, like revitalized and things, then I can be working. Like right now, I'm actually recording this and it's an evening. But other times I'm tired, I'm exhausted, my body is tired, and it's like I could keep fighting and working, but I can tell that I need to rest. I need to go to bed. So if you listen to your body, don't feel bad about doing that, because exactly what Deanne is saying here is you're going to be more productive if you have respite. 5, feed your mind and body. Creative energy thrives on proper nutrition. Stay hydrated and fuel your body with nourishing meals that support sustained focus and mental clarity. Incorporating a balanced diet can make a significant difference to energy levels. Keep healthy snacks available, granola bars, nuts and things like that. And I've been quite naughty this last week. I have been hoeing into the chocolate and the wine and all the bad things, but that I like. So I'm not going to feel bad. But this week, I bought no rubbish in the shopping. There was no crisps, no chocolate, no anything like that. Said to the kids, I was like, look, we can have 1 week on where we buy those things and 1 week off because we just absolutely hoof them in our house. It's not good. Set boundaries to protect your time. Writing time can be easily overshadowed by distractions and other obligations. Communicate your writing schedule to family and friends and learn to say no to commitments that disrupt your focus. Protecting your writing time is an act of self-care. I like that she says that protecting your writing time is an act of self-care because it's a massive one for me. In the past, I've overloaded myself with putting all these other things before writing and making it a last priority. Having to fight with people to acknowledge that the time I'm not present, I'm busy, I'm working, and it's really hard for some people to understand what you're doing because they don't understand. They think you're tinkering or mucking about. Celebrate your wins. Big or small, every accomplishment deserves recognition. Finish the chapter, reward yourself. Published an article, treat yourself to something special. Acknowledging your achievements fosters positivity and keeps you motivated to push forward. Keep a journal or a word count tracker to progress and celebrate milestones. Stay connected. Writing can be isolating, but it doesn't have to be. Join a writing group, attend workshops and conferences, or connect with other writers online to share experiences and support each other. A sense of community can provide encouragement and fresh perspectives. Platforms like Instagram, local meetups are good for like-minded peers. And I agree wholeheartedly. I love everybody I've met in different groups and organizations, but especially in the last 6 months, is block everyone out. Block everything out that I'm listening to, that I'm taking in, that I've been part of, because I've just had so much on my plate. I've needed to let things go and I've needed to just pull back into myself. But I severely miss the inspiration that comes with being part of groups and things. And I will definitely venture back. Step away when needed. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your writing is to take a break. Stepping away gives your mind time to process and reset, and often leading to fresh ideas when you return. Don't feel guilty about pausing. It's part of the creative process. Again, excellent point. For me, I'm at a point where I've stopped writing the second book in my women's fiction series. I haven't been actively writing a book or a longer form project. I have been busy creating courses and doing other things that have needed my time. I've just got to do one thing at a time so far because I've got a lot still happening in my personal life. I'm only one person and I'm looking to outsource tools and things that can help me be productive faster. They are out there these days as well, so to help me as a one-woman band. Incorporate physical exercise. Writing is a sedentary activity, but physical movement is vital for both mental and physical health. Incorporate regular exercise, whether it's jogging and all the rest. I wholeheartedly agree. So it says at the end there, Diana Martinez Bay is an author, social media manager, copy editor, and freelance writer with 18 books published under her belt and articles published in multiple magazines and online. Diana surrounds herself with books and writing on many levels. She believes that people bond over good food and good books, and you can follow her on Amazon. I'll put her link in the show notes as well if you want to read that article, because I found it really helpful and I loved her tips, so it was worth a share. They're all really positive tips, like not being hard on yourself, healthy self-care and self-promoting, and I think that's really crucial. So my short course with Romance Writers of Australia has kicked off today. Leverage podcast appearances, grow your career as a romance author. Are you a romance writer looking to grow your author platform and reach new readers? Podcasts offer a powerful and authentic way to connect with audiences who are hungry for new stories and fresh voices. In this short course, you'll learn how to position yourself as an engaging podcast guest, craft irresistible pitches, and leverage podcast appearances to grow your career as a romance author. The unique features are tailored for romance writers, hands-on pitch practice, insider tips from industry professionals. You'll learn the power of podcasts for romance writers, why podcasts are the perfect platform, understanding the podcasting landscape, crafting your pitch, writing a compelling email that grabs the host's attention, structuring a pitch, preparing for the interview, getting to know the host and podcast style, crafting your talking points, navigating tricky or unexpected questions, best practices for speaking confidently, and common pitfalls to avoid. So I believe you can still register over at TryBooking, www.trybooking.com/CXVYY. So I hope I see you in that space. There's lots of good tips to learn there. And whilst it is geared up to romance writers, the tips are still helpful all across the board. I also have another talk coming up in May, Discover the Power of Podcasting. That's going to be held at the Arts Festival in Armadale. Podcasting is very popular this start of 2025. And speaking of podcast news, I'm still playing around with release days for the hybrid author. So I do apologize that, there's been some inconsistencies for episode release. I'm just trying to find a day that suits best. I've always put out on a Friday, but now I thought Sunday. I'm actually upping my podcast release episodes to 2 a week now. So you can cheer. Woo! The content keeps on rolling in. I've got some fabulous guests. 2 podcast episodes per week. Let's see if I can keep that momentum up. I am currently open for guests. So if you're an author or industry professional in the publishing writing world, reach out and pitch me, Joanne at hybridauthor.com.au. Make sure you're familiar with the podcast content. Episodes are topic-based and proactive, encouraging writers to have a hybrid author career, which is all inclusive, not just one way of doing things. I look forward to hearing from you soon and sharing further information about how the podcast works if you are successful on securing a spot.
Thorn Creative, where beautiful websites for authors are brought to life. No matter what stage you're at with your writing, your stories deserve a dedicated space to shine. Whether you're just starting out or have a bookshelf full of bestsellers, your website is the hub of your author business, binding everything you and your books offer together. Thorn Creative can nurture all aspects of redesigning your old site or start afresh from the initial design. They can provide ongoing hosting and maintenance to marketing your books online, saving you time, money, and stress trying to wrangle your site yourself. An author website built by Thorn Creative can easily direct readers to your favorite retailers, your publisher, or simply set you up to sell to them direct. The options are endless. Thorn Creative have worked with many authors across all genres and know what goes into good, functional working author websites to sell books. Head on over to thorncreative.com.au/websites for authors to read author and publisher testimonials and to see what they offer and some of the sites they've created.
Dana De Silva is a single mum of 2 based in Sydney, Australia. Having completed her journalism degree in 2011, she's spent the past decade working in PR across both the public and private sectors. These days, Dana's a part-time media advisor and on her days off from the corporate world, an aspiring indie author with big dreams. Creative writing, including poetry, is her elixir of joy. She considers putting pen to paper to be an exquisite art, free therapy, and a form of meditation. The Shift is her debut book. Welcome to the Hybrid Author Podcast, Dana.
Hi, Joanne. Thank you so much for having me.
We're absolutely honored and thrilled you can join us today. So it sounds like from your bio, you've been a part of the writing world in different mediums and formats. How did you end up being a writer?
Yeah, I can remember even when I was a little girl, I really enjoyed writing. It was just something that I naturally gravitated towards. I remember being in the primary classroom, being really young, and anytime I had to do writing tasks, it would just pour out of me. I was always a words girl rather than a numbers girl. I ended up following that path through high school and then went off to university and studied journalism. I actually thought I would go into TV broadcast. That was kind of the plan. And then that never really happened. I don't think I had the drive that, you need to be able to pursue a career like that. I thought that's probably what I'll do, but it wasn't something that I was really setting my mind to. And then I kind of just drifted for a while. I worked in PR, and writing's always been a part of my life. There's always been journaling on the side as well, and love reading. And so I dabbled with a blog first about a decade ago, always trying my hand at different things and obviously writing for work, but in a very corporate way. When I came back I did some travel. I came back and I started another blog, writing a little bit about that. And then when I was on maternity leave, I started writing, and it sort of just started taking the shape of a book. And that was how The Shift came about.
Amazing. Well, The Shift is your memoir. Are you able to tell us a bit more about it? Obviously, you've told us what kind of prompted you to write it, but it's such a brave, powerful, and raw book. How did you find that?
Yeah, so I think that I've had a really interesting life. I've always had a lot of different things going on. I would say The Shift covers a period of the decade of my early 20s up until when I turned 30. A lot happens in that period. When I came back from traveling in South and Central America, when I was 30, I came back to Sydney, Australia, and I ended up falling pregnant and went on this crazy journey into motherhood. And I started writing while I was on maternity leave, and just for myself, as I've always done, journaling and getting stuff, kind of processing everything that had happened in that previous 10 years. At some point, I started getting a really big word count. I think because it was always like I saw these individual stories, and then I never really saw how they would all tie together into a novel kind of narrative. And then, yeah, it was just when I got to a certain point where I started to see the thread connecting and how I could make that work and pull it together as a memoir.
Amazing. And do you read a lot of memoir, or this was just a story that was coming out of you?
I read a lot of genres, actually. I couldn't tell you my favorite genre. I really dabble in everything. And
Great.
yeah, I have read a lot of memoirs as well. But yeah, I think that for me, and I know it's common with a lot of writers, oftentimes memoir is your entry point. It's the easiest sort of thing for you to do, to write your own story. And that was very much how I felt. I felt very called to tell that story. And then I think moving forward, I'm more attracted to writing fiction now.
Well, it's what they say, isn't it? Write what you know. So why not write your own story and make sense of that? I have to say, I started out too, which was a YA book that was supposed to be fictional, but apart from the names, everything was true. And after that book, I felt quite, and I speak about it all the time, the regular listeners were like, oh, she's talking about that again. But to me, it's quite pivotal because I feel like that book taught me I'll never see the light of day because it was my story, but I felt like I had to write it. That's what had to come out. And it taught me the discipline of writing to be able to finish a full length work and move on. And I feel like after putting that out there, something obviously shifted. And I speak to a lot of people, and it's true for myself that writing, A, it's a form of self-expression, but B, a lot of people use it to
work out how they feel about certain situations. And did you say you kept journals and things like that?
Yeah, writing's always been very cathartic for me, as it is for a lot of people. But yeah, I think it's my most comfortable medium. I feel like if I have to have a really difficult conversation with somebody, I would rather be able to send them a letter than to try and verbalize.
Well, in The Shift, there's some erotic and intense love affairs. How did you feel about writing those? Was that quite natural?
Yeah, I think my writing style is very raw. It's just how I am. I feel like I'm a bit unusual in that regard. I've always liked diving into deep topics rather than small talk. Small talk makes me kind of like, oh, I want to get to the juicy stuff. Right? That definitely translates in how I write as well. For me, I like to do a deep exploration of things, and I don't really shy away from things like any particular topic when I write. If it's there and it needs to be brought up, even if it's scary, I will try and just do that.
Amazing. Did you kind of just write that out then, or did you do any other sort of writing courses or training to be able to write these scenes? Because obviously you've been trained in journalism and other types of writing, which is straight across board, but this sounds a bit steamy.
At uni, there was a little bit of creative writing that I did, but like you said, it was more focused on journalism, different. I read a little bit of erotica, not a lot, I would say, but I didn't take any particular, I didn't sit down and think, oh, I really want to write erotic scenes into this memoir. I just wanted to tell my story, and I wanted to tell it in a really raw way. No clue, I should probably just explain that, yeah, when I'm in my early 20s, and I've sort of kind of fallen into a really domestic life even at that young age. I met a man and he had a son, and we got together and lived in a home by the beach and just a very domestic life. And then we got engaged and married, and it was all lovely. Not long after I met him, I started experiencing really horrible intrusive thoughts. The book goes down that path for a little bit, where I end up getting diagnosed with OCD. At the same time, I was also dealing with recurrent urinary tract infections. So there's this mental anguish and the physical anguish as well. I start to get on top of the OCD and feel normal again. And then my feelings towards my husband become platonic and increasingly so. After going through everything, that becomes quite a lot to handle. And then I ended up leaving, jump on a plane and go over to Buenos Aires. I spent 5 months traveling through South and Central America and had the most incredible experience. It was a real healing journey after everything. I'd gone through a real process of stepping into who I was supposed to be. And that's where the erotica comes into the book. I had some amazing travel romances, and it was as part of me searching for who I was, doing that through sexual exploration and connecting with different people from different backgrounds. So yeah, that was where the erotica scenes came into the book. I ended up coming back to Australia, planning to save some more money and then go traveling again, and was really feeling like I knew who I was and what I wanted, and something happens and the end of the book is quite different. So
Wow, that's quite a journey for such a young age.
There's a lot of stuff in, like, your 20s, I guess you are always tricky and you're figuring out who you are. But I think the OCD stuff, the intrusive thoughts that I was dealing with were really confronting. And also I just felt like that part of the story needed to be told, because OCD is so misunderstood, and people think of it as, you like to have a clean house. It's not exactly always like that. So yeah, there was a lot to explore in the book, obviously. And yeah, it was the travel romances that led me to write the erotica. But I didn't sit down and think, I really want to write erotic scenes. It just so happened to be a part of my story. And I guess the way my writing style is, it doesn't matter what scene I was writing, that style is just consistent for me. There's no other way I could think of writing it. And I think it's quite explicit, actually. So I know it's not to everybody's taste, and some people would probably not enjoy the way that I write.
The word erotica sort of gives that away. I think when people hear that word, they do think quite sexy scenes rather than romance or just love. It seems quite tame, whereas erotica feels like it's definitely something a bit more. I forget what the episode was, and I feel so bad I forget the name too, but I'd spoken to a past guest about OCD, and the way that she spoke about it kind of lifted the veil. The stereotype is, like you said, the clean house or having to repeatedly do stuff because you feel something's going to happen. But the way that she spoke about it, she kind of counted, she draws kind of like stars or shapes on people's faces as she's having conversations with people. You know, she's just like 1.2. And I just think, my gosh, it's hard enough to function. And then you've got something else going on.
Yeah. Yeah. OCD is just in like, if you can overcome that, I honestly think you can overcome anything. It is such a wild experience. And I am really grateful for it now, though, because I think I have a very strong mind. Like,
Yeah.
it's taught me a lot.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, writing erotica for what you were talking about, I just feel it's a bit more of a sensory exploration. It sounds like the way that you described it, you having sexual experiences and things like that. And I think that's probably the best way to share those moments of passion and joy rather than just sort of simply kind of stating it. Do you have any tips for authors who might want to write scenes like you have?
I'd probably say to just write as if no one's going to read it. I always try and do that. I try not to censor myself and just get that first draft of the scene out, however it wants to come out. I think for me, what has worked is not worrying about how it's going to sound or trying to make the scene beautiful, just presenting it completely raw. And like you said, it's a very sensory experience. I love music, so I often play songs on repeat. When I was traveling, I was always playing certain songs along the way. I had this really beautiful experience when I was writing. I had created a soundtrack for my book. All of the music that I was listening to while I was traveling, I would just, when I'd go to write, go to a cafe, put my headphones in, hit play, I would just really plug into it and almost meditate on what was going on and then try and put myself there again. And like you said, it was obviously really, traveling is a very sensory experience when I'm writing about that. But obviously when you're being intimate with someone, your senses are so heightened. I tried to, I guess, just put myself back there and think about it. Yeah.
I love how you describe writing like as a meditation, because even just you saying that, a few songs recently to do with someone come to mind for my life. And I think about, if I was to play that song, you go right back to that memory, that moment. It is like a mind travel, which I guess is what meditation is. Or are you supposed to just switch off every memory? Meditation is supposed to be blank, isn't it? But I really like that, how you describe it like that. And music is really powerful as well.
I think it's plugging into that flow state. They often say for people with very busy minds, if you can't meditate, writing can be the next best thing. If you can get into that flow state, I guess it is a similar experience to that space, that void you step into while you're meditating.
Like a focus or something. One thing.
Everything else fades away around you.
Oh, that's gorgeous. But no, that's really good advice and really good tips. So is this in the romance side, or where are you writing now?
Yeah, I think what will be really interesting, you made me think of it before, going from writing memoir to fiction will be interesting in the sense of, obviously, if I'm writing those erotica scenes that actually happened, I can revisit those memories and tap into how I was feeling at the time. Whereas if you're writing fiction, it's not like that. So I don't know what my experience will be like moving forward with trying to create scenes just from my imagination. I'm very used to writing memoir, so it's going to be a journey. I think I will have more erotica scenes to write because I want to write a romance book, and I think that would naturally be a part of it. I also would like to write a book about witches. I think that will be a big project.
Erotica witches. Erotica witches. Erotica witches.
That would be a good avenue to go down.
I don't know if there's something out there like that. There might be somewhere, but yeah. For the season.
Yeah. You've planted a seed. Isn't there the whole thing with witches and seduction and them potentially using their power through their sexuality. I think there's a whole thing. I'm sure I'll go down the rabbit hole with that.
Yeah, I can see that. That sounds really good. And you can always snatch a few erotic scenes from your memoir or from memory to reuse again, I'm sure.
Yeah. Even when you are going to be writing fiction, you're always going to use what you know to create the scene you want to. So I guess I'll always be going back and using my own experiences and then just molding them to take a new shape.
Or what you are sort of secretly hoping will happen, like imagining with a love heart or something.
I love that. I remember hearing Trent Dalton talk about that because, you know, his book, Whistler's Universe, like
Was
it's
so good.
And I saw him in an interview saying that it was what happened and then also what he wishes could have happened. So like getting to create those outcomes that you kind of always hoped for.
Yeah, no, I love that.
No, yeah, I was just saying it's really beautiful.
Yeah, there was a guy, oh gosh, I'm so bad remembering past guests. No, there's been a few. It was a gentleman who called it sort of very hybrid, like collaging a memoir. He told the story of his father from letters and memory that he could remember. It was a gentleman in America, but he added in bits of fiction to this memoir to like expand on conversations and memories that he had of things he thought might happen. It's quite a very different book. It was quite special actually to do it that way.
Yeah, the audience doesn't know what's real and what's not. Did he keep that? Or was he very clear about where he indulged in fiction and where it remained real? Because I like it when, the audience kind of, you know, a lot of writers, you wonder how much of what they've written is their own story, but that mystery around it is cool.
I don't think he pointed out the bits, but there was memorabilia to back up certain parts and it just flowed on as one. He calls it a hybrid memoir. So some parts are fiction, some parts are memoir. It's quite cool that it's something different. He actually talked about it as collaging, pasting things onto the pages, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I love that because you're not as restricted with what really happened.
Well, honestly, thank you so much, Dana, for everything you've shared. It's been absolutely wonderful. And can you tell our listeners, where can they find The Shift and everything you're doing on and offline?
Yeah, so The Shift is available on Amazon, ebook and paperback, and I am on Instagram at writer Dana de Silva.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Dana. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Good to talk to you.
There you have it, folks. Dana de Silva on writing erotica. Next time on the Hybrid Author podcast, we have Maggie Walters, Living with Split. Maggie's journey on multiple personality disorder and the power of storytelling. Maggie Walters lives in the northern suburbs of New South Wales, where she spends her days developing her writing skills and raising 3 teenagers. After meeting her husband, she immigrated to Australia from the US and spent her career in various marketing roles before returning to her long-held love of the written word. Expression through words has become a driving passion in her life, a tool for healing her own abusive past. Maggie is an active member of Byron Writers Festival and a member of several writing groups that meet regularly and continue to nurture her craft. As a trauma survivor, she shares her courageous commitment to wholeness while confronting stereotypes surrounding multiple personality disorder, also known as dissociative identity disorder. She educates and encourages others to break down the barriers and stigma around mental health. And honestly, Maggie's book is incredible. I love chatting to Maggie. It's an all-inspiring, incredible episode not to be missed. I wish you well on your author adventure this next week. That's it from me. Bye for now.
That's the end for now, authors. I hope you're further forward in your author adventure after listening, and I hope you'll listen next time. Remember to head on over to the Hybrid Author website at www.hybridauthor.com.au to get your free author pass. It's bye for now.